I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars. We are here. We are waiting.
The origin of these Transformers, as well as the comic background of Transformers and the animated series of Transformers. Everything that needs to be talked about in relation to Transformers will be discussed separately in this playlist. So if you also want to know more about these Transformers, definitely watch this video, and if you think this video is good, definitely subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. We will continue to talk about everything we need to talk about Transformers. So from our latest playlist, I am going to talk first about the origin of these Transformers, how Transformers were formed, what is the planet called Cybertron related to these Transformers, who made it, how this Cybertron world was made, and a war between these Transformers. In today's video, we are going to talk about how it started and what happened in this war. Okay, so let's get to today's video. As I told you before, this planet called Cybertron is the planet where these species of life called Transformers were born. When talking about this planet called Cybertron, we mainly want to talk about three people. One is called Primus and the other is called Unicron. Okay, let's see how they are related. Primus and Unicron, as I told you here, are created by the one called the One, so we can call these two Primus and Unicron as the gods of Cybertron. Simply put, Unicron and Primus are two sides of the same coin, Primus being the better side, and Unicron is the bad side. So now you see what their relationship is with these other Transformers. These two are the ones who start to populate this planet from them. Even though these two are mentioned here, the name Primus is given. So I told you before that Unicron is the bad side, and that Primus is the good side. So the good and the bad will inevitably come into conflict. So we all know that the area where Primus and Unicron had conflicts before the birth of Transformers was simply called Cybertron in the early days. So anyway, when these two were at war for such a long time, Primus created the 13 original Prime to fight against Unicron. Now here, anyone who watched Transformers Revenge of the Fallen may remember that there are 7 Primes. But it is not so. There are 13 Primes. So here are the 13 Primes that Primus prepares to fight against Unicron. Now here comes another problem. Who are these 13 Primes? So we are not going to talk about these 13 now. If so, this video will be long. But I will bring videos about all 13 Primes from this playlist. So if you want to know about these Primes, definitely subscribe to this channel and stay connected with us. Okay, if we come back to the story, these 13 original Primes who created this Primus defeated Unicron and kicked them out into space. Now here another person might think that Unicron was still in space. So while talking about Unicron, I will explain this to you separately. Remember here that when Unicron was banished to space, no one knew exactly what happened to Unicron for a long time. So something special happens during these events. That is what I told you before. Primus merges the Cybertron planet and gives his entire life to this Cybertron. Now here we can call this Cybertron and we can call it Primus. Both Primus and Cybertron have become one. Now we are going to talk about one more important thing seen in the film. Do you remember when you saw the first Transformers movie, you saw a cube? So the exact name of this cube is called Allspark. So this Primus uses this device called Allspark and starts to colonize the planet. Please remember here that I am not only talking about the 13 original Primes known as the 13 mentioned earlier. Here the Primus create life on their planet of Cybertron. The newest creatures created by Primus are not like the normal Transformers you have seen. You may remember many of their differences. Here, Primus creates a group of animals like the dragon seen in the Transformers Prime animated series. The first primitive creatures of this Cybertron are called Predacons. But conflicts begin to arise between these creatures as well. So somehow, as time passes in this way, a significant amount of the creatures created by Primus become extinct and destroyed. If we take it simply, a significant amount of life in Cybertron will be destroyed. You may think that the first 13 primes created by Primus will be destroyed here. The prime known as Prima and the prime known as Alpha try and work together to save the remaining inhabitants of Cybertron. After this great destruction caused by various harmful radiations and various meteorites, a group of special beings called Quintessence come to this Cybertron. So you see who created the group of beings known as Quintessence. In the video, it was first said that Primus created 13 primes. So, out of these 13 primes, the person called Kant's prime is the one who creates the complex group of beings called Quintessence. So, if you have watched the Transformers War for Cybertron series, you must have seen this species. The Quintessence had very advanced technology. Have you ever wondered how just a lot of metal can be transformed into a supercar or a super vehicle like these Transformers? So the reason for this transformation is called Quintessence. Due to the superior technology of the Quintessence, they have created a device called T-Cog. Because of this device called T-Cog, every Transformer that we know transforms into vehicles. If you have watched the Transformers Prime animated series, you may remember that in some cases each Transformer loses its T-Cog. So, because of that, they cannot transform into their own vehicle. So this series is very interesting. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch it. The Quintessence didn't just come to Cybertron. They came to this Cybertron because they want to spread their power throughout this Cybertron. So, not only that, after the Quintessence came to Cybertron like this, all the technology in Cybertron was improved a lot. That is one of the biggest advantages Cybertron got from the flow of Quintessence. Since they contributed a lot to the technology of Cybertron, they started spreading lies that we are the creators of these Transformers, and we are the ones who created this Cybertron. So you must have seen this kind of lie in Transformers, the Last Night movie. So somehow, after some time passes, these Cyberdwellers find out that the Quintessence didn't really do such a thing. Because of this, the Cybertronians drive these Quintessence out of Cybertron, but the technology they got from the Quintessence can be kept in Cybertron. So among this technology, various designs have been included. So this is how these Quintessence contributed to the development of the people of Cybertron. After these events, the Golden Age of Cybertron begins. So in this way the Golden Age that started in Cybertron has continued until about 800,000 years from Earth years. So during this Golden Age Transformers make many special inventions. I said earlier that the Quintessence left half of their technology in Cybertron. So I said that there were some important plans in between. So among these plans, the space bridge technology has also been here. So these Transformers have traveled to many different worlds using this space bridge. So now another person may not understand what space bridge is. I will tell you some simple examples. If you have seen the Flash movie, you will remember that various portals open to go from each world to other worlds. This is something like that. For another example, if you remember Marvel movies also use tools like this. So I'll take this from the two examples. It is easy to understand what a space bridge. Anyway, while doing these things in Cybertron for a long time, one of the space bridges they used has faced a strange rust epidemic. So here everything that is made of metal starts to be destroyed due to this rust epidemic. So because of this, the prime called Sentinel Prime cuts all the connections between the Cybertron planet and the other planets. And all these space bridges will be destroyed. Each of these causes will begin at the end of the Golden Age of Cybertron. So during this Golden Age, two special characters are born in Cybertron. One is Orion Pax and the other is Megatronus. Now one may think, did I say these two names wrongly? No. you will understand why I said that in the future of the video. There I called the name Megatronus. So when this is called Megatronus, you know it is about Megatron. Okay, but who is this Orion Pax? So I am not going to tell you about this Orion Pax here. Before the video, I will tell you who this Orion is. Okay, Orion is a clerk in one of the record rooms in Cybertron. So everything about Cybertron and everything related to Cybertron has been recorded in this hall of records. Then who is this Megatron that I said before? This Megatron is a skilled warrior. So this Megatron is a different transformer who had very different ideologies. Megatron was instrumental in bringing about a big change in Cybertron society. So in order to make the change he wanted to make, Megatron publicly expressed his ideas. In any case, Megatron is a character who has won everyone's heart in all of Cybertron. Because of that, many Cybertronians gathered around everything that Megatron said. Also, at this time, Orion Pax and this Megatron are two of the best brothers. Also, I forgot to tell you something right at the beginning of the video. That is what determined the social status of every citizen in Cybertron, based on the size of his body he has built. But this law did not belong to the Cybertron army. So I told you here because this is also a special matter. Okay, if we come back to the story, this time again, Megatron changes his name to Megatronus. So one day, Megatron presents himself to the High Council I mentioned earlier, and Megatron asks the High Council to appoint him as the next Prime. So this presented view is rejected by the High Council. The reason for that is because of the harshness of this scene. So here at this time, Orion Pax is presenting a big story about how to run Cybertron without any violence or dire situations. The High Council is very impressed with Orion because of this great show of Orion that day. And here Orion is named as the next Prime, or the 13th Prime. This is how Orion Pax becomes known as Prime. Now it is clear to you how this Orion Pax becomes Optimus Prime. So, because of this incident, Megatron starts getting angry with Prime. Megatron is very angry with Optimus Prime because he did not get this Prime position. So, because of this, Megatron builds a separate big army for himself with the help of a transformer called Soundwave. So this is what we all know by the name Decepticons. So this is the basic way to start the main war in Cybertron. In this way, when Megatron is going to start a war on his own, he needs someone to oppose him. So because of that, the Optimus, various military groups from Cybertron and various different Transformers gathered together to form a group called Autobots, and start a war against the Decepticons. With the beginning of those events, the golden age of Cybertron ends and the Great War begins. So the Great War, which lasted about 4 million years of Earth years, will lead to the destruction of the entire Cybertron world. So Megatron's action contributes a lot to this destruction. Megatron begins to control many of the most powerful weapons during this time, and releases a virus called the Cybonic Plague. The Cybonic Plague virus is paralyzing the world of Transformers. So, the worst destruction after the Great Destruction that I told you about earlier is called the Great War. So when time passes like this, Primus, the god of Cybertron, gives the Matrix to Optimus. So what is this Matrix? This Matrix is the device that contains the knowledge that every Prime has. So here is Optimus Prime, sending the All-Spark out of Cybertron. It is for these reasons that the All-Spark comes to Earth. After a while, the Decepticons arrive after finding the All-Spark. So you must have seen all these things in movies. And you may have seen some things from the Transformers animated series. Okay, I told you only the most famous origin of these Transformers. So there are several different origins. So, I will bring you about such origins in videos like this. When talking about Transformers, we have a lot to talk about. Metrics of the leadership, the All-Spark Autobots, Decepticons, various Transformers or various categories. We have to talk about things. so I will explain to you about all that in separate videos. Okay, in today's video, how did this planet called Cybertron form? And how did the war on Cybertron begin? Obviously, we talked about what happened to Cybertron. Also, you should comment your thoughts about the Transformers below. If you are very interested in Transformers, definitely subscribe to the channel and stay tuned with us. See you in a video. Have a nice day.
I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars. We are here. We are waiting.